Hi, and welcome back to Real Estate Made Simple. My name is Rick Bosley. I'm your host. Thanks for being with me today. And we're going to continue the journey today of how we can close 36 closed transactions as a realtor with different sources. And today's source is going to be around agent-to-agent referrals and also business-to-business referrals. If that sounds intriguing to you and you want to learn how to make more money through your network of colleagues, this one's for you. Stay tuned. Hi, thanks for being here again. My name is Rick Bosley, the owner-operator of 3L Coaching and the Bosley Team, Real Estate Solutions. And it's my pleasure to bring to you today's content because it was really a launch pad of how I got back into business. My backstory is as I started in sales and real estate back in 2010. In 2011, I had the opportunity to become in leadership and where I got a lot of my knowledge and training and hiring and coaching. And that really set the foundation for this content through 3L Coaching. And in 2019, got back into sales where we started and restarted the Bosley Team. My first year in business, 40% of my production, closed production, came from agent-to-agent referrals because that was my network for so many years. So I'm excited to bring to you some of the strategies that we used and that you can also incorporate in your business. If you like what you hear today, do me a favor and go ahead and click that subscribe button. That way you're notified. We like to drop new episodes close to every Thursday as we can. As well as we have daily shorts and reels and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and everything else out there. So share it with a friend, keep it in your archive, take some notes, and hopefully you have a great session today. So the course that we're inspired by today is Lead Generation 36-12-3. It's how we close 36 closed transactions in 12 months with 3 hours of lead generation a day. And how we're going to do it? Agent-to-agent referrals. So while we're here, we're going to discover and tap into, I think, one of the most overlooked opportunities and resources that we as realtors have, and that is working with our colleagues, not only agent to agent, also business to business. How are we going to stay top of mind with them, and what can we do to differentiate ourselves? Some different schools we can use, and how we can screen, tools we can use, and how we can screen and qualify those who we're making connections with. And then some different ways to prospect and market to them. So that's going to be the content of how we're going to go. Let's first talk of why we say it's an untapped resource. National Association of Realtors says they survey buyers and sellers, and they ask, how did you find your realtor? And 35% of them say that it was a referral from a friend or family, which is why, and I'm going to say it at least a dozen times on this episode, everything we do is about building and converting our database because that's where referrals come from, and that's going to be our friends and our family, over 35%. You want to guess how many said I got them through my agent, through agent-to-agent referral? It's 4%. Untapped opportunity, don't you think? If we think about everybody, with the exception of first-time home buyers, then everybody else who's going to buy or sell a house is going to do 2 transactions. And if you only represent them for 1 transaction, then you're a transactional agent in that moment of time. We want to move you from being a transactional agent to a relational lifetime agent for life. So that's the untapped opportunity. 4% seems so low when we're all in this industry together. So why are we going to tap into this? There's opportunity not only to enhance your relationship and your value to your client, it's an opportunity to make more money. And it's an untapped resource to make more money. When we receive referrals, we gladly and happily give a referral fee to that referral source as that connection. So don't leave money on the table. Whenever you're selling, ask them where they're buying. Whenever they're buying, ask if they need to sell first. Don't just be a moment's notice for that transaction. Let's look at that opportunity. I've got a story when I relaunched the Bosley Team in 2019, and every day on my way home from work, I would stop at a for sale by owner's house. It was just something I was doing. It was that habit of going, I'm going to find a house to knock on their door and give them a packet to see if I can introduce myself and offer services. Now, this isn't a for sale by owner, an expired episode. Yet here's how it became the agent-to-agent episode. Met this gentleman. He was open. He was cordial. House was beautiful. He got professional pictures. He had it priced really well. So in that conversation, I said, well, where are you headed? He says, I'm moving to Chicago. What brings you to Chicago? It's a job relocation. Fantastic. What's your timeline? As soon as this sells, we're going. So he had it planned and mapped out. So I said, well, hey, I've got a great network of realtors up in Chicago. Our company is worldwide. Would you like me to introduce you to an agent up there? And he said, no, I already have an agent. I found them through Realtor or Zillow or something else out there. Hey, no problem. Sounds like you've got everything taken care of. If you'd like, because sometimes plan A doesn't work out, I'll just put you in a three-way text with somebody. That way, should your first agent go on vacation or not be who you want there, at least you don't have to go back at square one. You've got somewhere to go from there. He says, sure, that's no problem. And of course, we are pursuing and seeing if we can help you sell, then let's do that now. Well, 4 days later, he was under contract. I called him, congratulations, you're under contract, way to go, good luck in Chicago. Did you get that three-way text? You did. Fantastic. I closed that loop. That file's done. He moved on. He converted it. That was not a listing that I got. 5 months later, I get a check in the mail. Check in the office. Don't recognize the address. Don't recognize the name. And when I called that agent attached to that check and go, hey, remind me, how was I attached to this? He says, you referred me somebody who was a for sale by owner, and you told me they were a plan B, and it was a long shot. And we just did a great job following up, and he called us up and converted because the first one didn't work out. Thank you for the referral. And that money came in the mail. That was a great opportunity to look at all of the opportunities when we're having conversations. That's the agent-to-agent referral. Truth be told, I didn't have a vast network that I was personally vetting for up in Chicago, yet I knew there were great agents in Chicago. I called that office. I identified the right person. We're going to talk about that in a second of how can we identify and how can we screen the right candidates. So I give that story to you so you can realize that every conversation, we want to help them with all aspects of real estate, not just in that moment, whatever conversation that is. Buying, selling, and investing, estate planning, 1031 exchanges, leaving a legacy for their kids and their grandkids or their charities or foundations. Lots of opportunities there. So there's the untapped resource. When we think about when we receive or when we give a referral from an agent or business to business, it's always a hot lead. It's always qualified because if they went to a trusted resource, then just vicariously through that name, you're going to be also a trusted resource. They're putting their name, their reputation on the line. It's going to be a hot lead. Now, sometimes they're going to say, I'm going to give 3 agents and here's 3 good candidates. So you're still being interviewed, but there's a great opportunity for you to elevate yourself. So you're going to treat this as a hot lead. You don't have to go through all the unmotivated. So we talk about the sales funnel, right? The top of the sales funnel might be online leads. Then we've got to find the ready, the willing, the able, the motivated, ability, and need. We use the acronym MAN. Well, most of the time when you get a referral from an agent or another business owner, they're already motivated, they're able to purchase or sell, and they need to purchase or sell. So it's a hot lead, qualified lead, and it doesn't take as much effort to go find them. So that's the opportunity there. When we think about some of the pros and cons, I've heard this, especially when my first year, 40% of our production came through agent-to-agent referrals. I heard some agents go, yeah, that's a lot of cost of sale. And cost of sale is money that you pay out to your brokerage or referral fees. And yes, we paid anywhere from 15 to up most of 40% on some referrals. Yet it was able to enhance the database, enhance the revenue. And it's just almost the same thing of going, it lowers your price point. And if you look at the average price point in Orlando right now, it's about $365,000. So what's 25% of that? We're going to take off about $9,000. So you're looking, or 90,000. So price point goes from 360 to 270. Okay, then let's just budget for it. And let's plan for what that could be. So yes, the con is you're paying a referral fee, but what are the pros? Well, you receive a ready customer who's motivated, able, and ready. You still get to keep 70 to 90% of that commission. Customers well serviced by you, so they become a raving fan. They're now in your database, and that database turns into repeat referrals, future clients, networking with friends. That agent's a raving fan, so they refer you more and tell their colleagues up in whatever city that might be from. And now you've established this relationship as a referral source. So many pros come from this. Don't sleep on it, and don't let the aspect that you're giving a referral away and it's lowering your cost of sale sleep with the opportunity of all the pros. And if we work inversely, if you were to be focused on giving referrals away, that's some of the highest dollar per hour. That check I got from that agent in Chicago really cost me less than 30 minutes of work. When you think about the time in from the introduction to meeting that agent to doing following up to referring out with that agent. Now, vulnerably, I should have known exactly what was happening. I should have stayed in touch to cultivate that relationship with that agent in Chicago. And that's a failed system and failed opportunity. And I'll just share with you it was. Yet when you look at your dollar per hour, that's one of the greatest dollar per hours you can make as an agent. And that's that referral, truly as close to passive income as you can get in real estate. What's the con when you give it away? Well, you're you're teeing someone else up and they're getting that client for life. I mentioned I was a team leader for several years. From 2011 to 2019, I was a managing of the office, and I called it the team leader, and it was non-compete. So I didn't help people buy and sell. So when I'd have friends and family and close colleagues come to me, I would refer them to an agent in my office. Well, the pro was they were well taken care of, raving fan, everything was great. The con was I was slowly referring out all of my closest allied resources to other great agents, creating essentially my competition now in 2019. So the con was I was losing clients. I was losing trusted resource. I was losing database. And that's okay because enough pros came from it. And truly it was a different spot and different season of my life. So there's pros and cons to it. Know that when you give away a referral, you are losing that database. And we can talk about some ways, depending where you're at in your career, that you can actually keep both here as we wrap up this session. So when you receive an accepting referral, I want you to just treat this like any referral, right? There's a whole outline that says, be attentive, respond immediately, listen to their needs, know the resources, know the contractors, know the area. Yes, 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 and yes. But why don't you do that for any lead? So I almost don't want to go into that. You're going to treat this lead just like you would any other lead, with the exception of possibly you've got two clients now. So the two clients is not only do you have the buyer or seller themselves, you also have the referring agent or referring business partner. So as you make your weekly calls and update the client, I want you to also make that extra effort and update that referral source. That referral source might be more valuable because once they refer you once, if it's a great job, they'll refer you over and over again. So think about that of what's the responsibility of receiving those referrals. You take care of them with white glove service, VIP treatment, and you keep the referrer involved every step of the way. When you give referrals, you have a responsibility. And this is important for me because I've seen some agents give referrals because they have this network and they have this club or organization, and it's a great strategy. Yet make sure your fiduciary and your responsibility is still to the best interest of your buyer and seller, please, and not to the interest of your agents who happen to be in your network. What do I mean by that? Thoroughly interview what the customer wants and what the customer needs. Find the perfect match for that customer. Communicate what's expected to that agent so that everyone's on the same page. If it's a long nurture, then you be patient. Let's set that expectation up front. Let's make sure that the follow-up is taken care of and both people are taken care of. There's a book called The 7 Levels of Communication written by Michael Meyer. And he has this culture he created called the generosity generation. And in the generosity generation, he says for every 2 referrals you give, you can expect 1 back. Every 2 referrals you give, expect 1 back. Well, how does that work? When you think about this, if I refer, this is business to business or agent to agent, if I refer somebody, let's say a roofer, well, not only is that client someone who I was able to provide value for, but also that roofer. So we actually have 2 people receiving value from me, and for every 2 of them, so that's 4 total, I can get 1 back, 25% turnover. So if I'm looking to close, let's say 36 deals, I might say I want to receive 48 referrals. Well, multiply that by 2, and if you can go make a business plan and focus on giving 96 referrals and doing a great job screening and qualifying and that it's a good service and good handoff, those 96 referrals times 2 should be able to generate you 48 back. If you want more information, study on that, check out The 7 Levels of Communication. It's a great book. Highly recommend it. Super easy read. So there's a plug for Michael Mayer there. When you give referrals out, we want to make sure that they're taken care of, and it's a win-win for all parties, not just a little bit of quid pro pro. Quid pro pro is great when everything else is in alignment. It's not great when there's less than stellar service. Another personal story I had with that. My brother moved from Fort Lauderdale, North Carolina. I referred him an agent up there, and the house under contract in 1 day, and it was just very fast. When I called back to get the experience for my brother, he wasn't 100% satisfied, ecstatic. And he actually asked me, he's like, just curious, how did you find this person? And I found this person through a mutual friend down there who referred me somebody else, and I didn't interview them that strongly. And I just said, well, this sounds great, and you've got a great resume, and here you go. I didn't pre-qualify of going, I don't know this person personally. So my brother said, oh, how well do you know this person? And I was like, oh, I talked to him for 3 minutes, and then they were there for you. I felt a little bit guilty. right? So it doesn't mean they might not have been the perfect fit, but when I couldn't back up the validation that I did my due diligence, I felt like it happened too quick. So I think that's important there. And there's certain times that you don't know anybody. I think it's important just to tell your customer they come highly recommended from the office or from someone else down there. And I haven't worked with them personally yet. I did check them and verify and vet them, and they seem great. If you don't have the warm and fuzzy from them, let me know and I'll find you someone else you can at least interview. I think putting those pre-qualifications or precursors out there to your client is a good move strategically, and also it lets them be in control of that decision. When we think about how we're building our database, because again, everything goes back to our database and it's about creating, growing, and cultivating and converting our database, I need you to have agents and business people in your database. When you have them tagged, we do a couple of things of who are our local agents and who are our out-of-area agents. Because our local agents probably aren't going to be referring and referrers, right? At least not in this moment of most of their lives. It's the out-of-area agents that become that referral opportunity. So they're tagged in command. That way my marketing and prospecting is catered around them as well. If I'm having a movie night, I'm probably not going to invite anybody who's out of area. It's just not strategic. It becomes almost spammy to them, right? So what we're looking to do is add value to them of maybe competitions and fundraisers and online shout outs. We can do gifts their way. We can give market updates. We can give stats. We can give knowledge. And so we want to make sure our marketing matches the recipient. So we're going to tag them where they're at. Are they local? Are they not local? And how can we be useful and needed? A big miss when you think about untapped opportunities, a lot of people treat them as like this other category in their database. They're not a client. Well, why not? Right? Why aren't business owners and agents treated like customers and clients in your database, receiving Mother's Day and Father's Day and anniversary and birthday cards and Christmas cards and being invited to events and doing your calls on a regular basis and adding value and checking in their family? Treat them like their clients in your database, and guess what they become? Clients in your database. If you treat them like they're a colleague, they're going to remain a colleague. So a lot of it's going to be people grow into the conversations you create around them, and you teach people how to treat you. So teach them to refer you. Teach them how to refer you, and teach them why they want to refer you. Going back to the very first lesson of this, which is your unique value proposition. So reasons that I really liked going after this avenue when I relaunched the business. It's agents and business owners and commission-based salespeople. They get it because they're in it and they're doing the same grind that we're doing, and they're in it to win it. So they understand the game. They understand the hustle. They appreciate that. You don't feel like you're going to get rejected and rejected and rejected, because that can be very deflating. So we go after this because people are welcoming it. They're receiving it. They want a little mastermind. It allows you to go to different events, especially outside of your area, with more intention and more purpose. Sometimes it's tough to go to an event and get in a plane and get a hotel when there's so much readily information available via Zoom and via YouTube these days. So now we're going, and it's not necessarily an educational event, it's a networking event, and it's a lead generation event because we can tap into those resources. It's the opportunity to build those relationships and to be able to have a network of agents throughout the country and throughout the world now that also became great networking and mastermind partners as well. So how do we do it? Where do we get started? It always is going to go back to you build your mind share, and mind share creates market share. Other agents are assets to your business. They're not competitors. So you've got to be memorable. You've got to stand out. Have you ever been to a convention or a class and you have somebody who's standing at the exit of the doorway passing out their business cards like they're on the Las Vegas Strip saying, come to my club tonight? And I'll be honest, if you're one of those agents and I've gotten your card and we had zero eye contact and zero relationship, I probably put my gum in it, folded it up, and threw it in the trash can. I'm sorry. And that was it, because they were just there, not focused on relationships. So be memorable, stand out. When you get a card or you have a relationship with somebody at one of these events, whether it's agent to agent, whether you cold call or whether you're face-to-face sitting next to them, it's a new contact. And we learned about this of what do we do with new contacts in our database? Well, the first thing we're going to do is cement the relationship with an 8x8. So I'm going to take that business card back. I'm going to look them up. I'm going to add them into command. I'm going to Facebook friend them. I'm going to make sure I follow them on all their social media profiles. I'm going to write them a handwritten note. And that handwritten note is going to start the cementing relationship. And then I put them on an 8x8 command smart plan or follow-up boss or whatever you might use. It's just that reminder. And for me personally, I've mentioned this before, the less automation, the better. We got ChatGPT is taking over the world, and this world's going to become very, very, very automated and very, very, very artificial, and very, very, very intelligent. So now more than ever, I want you to double down on the human connection and human relationship, and that includes agent to agent. So when you meet an agent, you do the 8x8, you cement that relationship. Once it goes from 8x8, and then you do a 36 touch, what includes a quarterly phone call, opportunity to meet face-to-face a couple times a year, some direct mails. Yet the messages need to be focused on what's useful and needed for them, not what's useful and needed for everyone else in your database. So really focus and get clarity around that. When I was thinking about building this network, I would intentionally go out and teach in 2 classes throughout the state every month. And the teaching was free. The intention was I would have the opportunity to add value to people's business, collect business cards, put them in the 8x8, and build that network and build that database. So you go and focus on building and focusing on of how do we do it. We want to screen and qualify of who are we looking for. So I've got a client, I need to refer to Chicago. Do I just want to Google anybody in Chicago? Well, no, he could do that, right? I really want to make sure that I give them that white glove service. So here's some questions you can ask as you're interviewing an agent. What do you love about being a realtor or a roofer or a lender or whomever you're doing when you're making that referral and you're passing off a client to a trusted resource? What do you love about what you do? What do you like better, working with buyers or working with sellers, working with investors? Why? How long have you been doing this for? Where's your area of expertise? Do you specialize in hometown heroes or veterans or first-time home buyers or luxury? What's your niche? What's your areas of expertise? What's your geographical area you serve? And a lot of agents, including us, we've got where we live, where my kids play ball, yet we'll service 30 to 60 mile radius because in Orlando, we can be in 5 different counties. And if it's within an hour and we can go out there and take care of the client and still get home before dinner, we're okay with that. So it might be which do you serve and which do you prefer, and really get to make sure it's a nice spot. What you don't want to do is not ask that question, realize that you referred somebody 2 hours away and they start giving your client a going, well, I can't get out there because I live 2 hours away. That client's going to go right back to you and going, why would you send me someone who's 2 hours away from where we want to live? You want to know these questions beforehand so you don't get blindsided, because as soon as you do that, that client's going to lose trust and faith in you as a referring agent, and therefore that relationship has been permanently damaged. So be careful with that, because your reputation and your name's in the line. If you don't know where to start, I often like calling the leadership of that office. So identify the office of that city or that zip code, talk to the team leader, talk to the MCA, the market center administrator, talk to somebody in leadership and say, I'm looking for somebody who matches these criteria, these qualifications. Can you give me 2 or 3 names and see who comes to mind? They're going to give you some names, hopefully, and then you can get that ball rolling and do your interviews. So that's a great place to start. Call the leadership team, find out who it can be. And also, Keller Williams has set up the referral network through Command that allows you to screen it as well. So if you go to Command, you can search zip code. You can see all the agents who service that zip code, and you can tag it. They are ranked based on their production, how many buyers, how many sellers. You can see hopefully a profile of them up so you can read a little bit about them and any designations they have. So we have KW communities now, which is people can be young professionals, part of MAPS coaching, part of luxury, military, all these different aspects, sports and entertainment, wealth, estate planning, and you can find somebody who, based on their community that they're in, they have a designation or a level of expertise higher than others. So through the Command, check out the referrals tab there, and it's a great way to build your agent network. If you want to build this and focus this, it almost works like LinkedIn. You can search your area and start inviting collaborations and connections, which then that could start your new relationships in 8x8. Maybe you identify where do the most people relocating to your city because they're going to have the most leads, and you can see the migration patterns that we have. You can check that out not only through Command. You can go to like irs.gov. I think the website is How Money Moves or How Money Walks. Check something around that, and you can actually see based on tax returns where the money is moving, where it's migrating from. And we've had a lot specifically here in Central Florida come from the west coast of California, in the northeast of New York, because inflation got hit, things got expensive, and Florida has very nice tax benefits and great weather. So we are growing massively and rapidly here in Florida, and a lot of people are migrating there. When you do set this up, I encourage you to get your referral agreed and in writing prior to working with somebody, especially if they're brand new. It's just about managing expectations and setting out those disclosures there. So that's my little caution to the wind of just going, don't say we'll work it out at the end, work it out at the beginning. It's always cleaner. Your prospecting and marketing doesn't change at all from the core concept that you would do for anybody as a farm, as a FSBO, as an open house, as an expired, as a referral. You need to actively prospect and need to actively market to stay top of mind. Mind share will lead you to market share. So we want to cultivate this. And a couple weeks back, we talked about the farm. We talked about there's 3 different types of farm: geographical, demographical, psychographical. This is just a demographical farm, isn't it? It's an industry. It's an industry and an occupation. That was one of the farms. And we actually say, if you are looking to identify your farm, look in the mirror. What demographic buttons do you click? From 40-year-old male, likes outdoors, likes fishing, is a realtor, does UCF alumni, spend a stint in Chicago, right? These are all me. Realtor is one of them. So this becomes a farm. Treat them like a farm. What are the steps that we farm agent to agent? Well, the same way you would farm a neighborhood. You're going to do a 12 direct to establish a conversation. The conversation leads to an 8x8 to cement the relationship. The 8x8 converts to a 36 touch to maintain the relationship and stay top of mind. It's no different, folks. Do the same thing. Get intentional with how many agents do I want in my network and what cities do I want them from. Go get intentional about building that business and building that network. And don't overthink it. There are clients in your database who can offer referrals. My number 1 referral source this last year, and she didn't buy or sell with me. It was a trusted family member, and she referred it, and she was able to provide many, many opportunities. We're very grateful for that. And they never bought or sold anything themselves. So this is where the agent can come in to that aspect. A myth we hear when we've got big events: I can't go to that event. I can't leave my office for that long. It's not worth it. If you go only for the education of the event, you might be right. So now when you go there, create a business plan for yourself going, how many purposeful, fantastic relationships and connections will I make? How many one-on-ones will I have? How many business cards will I exchange? How many people will I add to my database? And now we go there with an objective to lead gen around our agent-to-agent referrals and the educational or the network that you might get from the event. So be smart and be intentional about it when you meet them at events. Be visible, right? Get there early and stay late. When you meet a panel, go up and shake their hand and thanks so much, and then follow up with them. I met you on a panel. Thank you so much. This is my greatest aha. Coming from someone who's been on panels or instructor led, when I get that follow-up card from somebody, your follow-up touch going, hey, wanted to tell you based on what I heard last week, I've incorporated and found this. It's one of the coolest things to see as an instructor. So give them that gift back of that feedback that says, thank you, you've made a positive impact, and now you're creating momentum and creating that relationship. So be visible, show up early, stay late, be present, and be purposeful. Be very careful. I've seen a lot of people go to these events and they treat it more like a social event than a business networking event. And when you become too social, it can become detrimental to your purpose. For me, I like breakfast meetings more than midnight bar meetings. I think we're all a little more of better sound in mind. We're more intentional and purposeful. And I've known a lot of people who stay out at Pete's Piano Bar late night in the streets, and they make great connections as well. So you've got to figure out who you are and then go down that niche, go down that lane, and go be purposeful about those relationships. You are making first impressions, so be careful with your impressions because it's going to matter, and you want to stand out in a good way, not in a negative way. After you've gone to the event, you want to stay in touch. Again, put them in command, make them a regular touch. 8x8 systems, handwritten notes, direct mail of always useful and needed. They're probably not going to come out and come to one of your pool parties, jump on a plane and get back. So I mentioned before and touch on kind of your network of people, your camaraderies or your colleagues that you can work with. And I've seen a lot of agents successfully create this band of brothers and sisters and referral partners and one person for each city because there are so many social media groups, referral sources, both internally within different franchises and franchise agnostic and everything else. So there's a strategy there of going beyond these groups. When you know someone, you've got to act quick. And if you have a network of people, they can tag you because you're identified as the Tampa agent or Jacksonville agent. And I've seen this great network. It's been very profitable for a lot of people, creating this army of referrers amongst each other. So you see someone that says, I need a great agent in Chicago, and you're going, bam, this is Susie Smith in Chicago. You click it out there, and it's done. So looking at Facebook and those groups, think about a way of how you can strategically use that network as well. For me, I've been successful. Instead of just replying or going, it's me, it's me, it's me. One thing I love about realtors is they should be online and they should be public. So I'm going to go, it's me. Then I'm going to send you a direct message privately. And then I'm going to Google you, find your phone, and give you a call and give you a text so I can be the first one to respond there. Some agents will like it. Some agents will not. It's almost like when you put your house up and you say, I need a good realtor to sell my house, you're going to get blasted. Well, if you say, I need a referring partner in a very populated city, you might get blasted with a lot of people, and just you've got to be able to differentiate yourself and going, what are you doing to separate yourself from everyone else who's raising their hand, direct messaging, sending emails, writing comments, and sending calls. But social media is a great spot to start with that. Keller Williams would love it if it's all through agent referrals within the system. It's tracked differently. It's tracked better, a little more scrutinized. And we know social media works, and it is working. As you get these clients and you get these referring partners, you get these relationships, just realize it's the same thing. It's overkill over time. It's maintain that relationship. It's keep the cup full by adding value. The upfront cost of staying in touch is going to be well worth the back-end cost. There's an agent out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Her name is Kasia Olek. And I remember this, and I remember it because it was 8 years ago that my wife and I were expecting our first child. And I met her at a mastermind event in Las Vegas, and she sent a onesie. Congratulations, this is so exciting. This is our favorite onesie that we gave our babies. And I still remember that. And I saw her last February in Anaheim, California, and she says, oh, how's everything? How's life? And I said, that onesie you gave us is now 8 years old. Time flies. It was a great way to connect there. So realize that it's an investment. It came from the heart. It came with purpose. I didn't see it as a sales gimmick or tactic. I saw it as a genuinely nice gift, and she stays top of mind for me in that area because of that one act of kindness. So think about that. The investment you make up front is going to have dividends on the back end. And then we talked about local agents. There's a book called The Golden Handoff, and the Golden Handoff is essentially adopting someone else's database because they're getting out of business or slowing down or winding down or moving away for whatever reason, and they have past clients and raving fans, and they were going to just slowly lead, receive, and refer, lead, receive, and refer, and that's just almost like a balloon that's slowly losing air, right? And then eventually it goes away. And an opportunity is going, how can we identify these agents who are looking to slow down, wind down, retire, or move away, and going, how can we put our arms around your database, work in collaboration, offer you more referrals from it through our marketing, and then offer some exclusivity for those referring agents. So The Golden Handoff is another book you can check out. If you're interested in adopting someone else's database, it can be a great way, especially if you're new to an area, to just surge yourself into someone else's network and someone else's database. So as we put this all together, I want you to think about there is massive opportunity. NAR, again, surveyed buyers and sellers, and they only said 4% of people found their agent through their existing agent. That's crazy to me. They did a survey that said at over 80% of people would use their buyer and seller at the time of closing, yet when the transaction happens again several years down the road, something like 15% do. So it's not surprising to me that only 4% are used by referring agent because only 15% use their own agent again, right? Think about that. So 80-something% said they would, 15-something% said they do, which means we have a 65% fallout rate of what's happening there, and that's because we're not staying in touch, we're not adding value over time and maintaining that relationship. So everything we do is about growing and cultivating and creating our database and converting our database to become clients, to become referrers. You're going to do that with purposeful, strategic, useful, and needed marketing and prospecting. It's the same conversation we've been having this entire series. We just have a different audience, and this audience is agent to agent, and I'm going to just throw right in there business to business as well. It's a beautiful and great opportunity. Give it a shot, and if you need help with it, I would love to be a resource for you. Ask me a question. You can comment right here where you're listening or watching this, and you can also email me, headcoach@kw.com. Love to be a resource for you, and we can even talk about how we can do some coaching together and we can look at the programs offered through 3L Coaching. And of course, how silly would I be in this episode if I didn't say if I can ever be a resource for you in the greater Orlando area, the Bosley Team Real Estate Solutions would love to help you out because this is the agent-agent, business-to-business episode. Thanks again for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.